You saw her cry, and you felt nothing. That was the first time you felt powerful. She threw the plate. You didn't flinch. She screamed into your silence, and your silence won. Somewhere inside that chaos, she started to need you more. You, who had already left without moving a step. It is not love she wants. It is the one thing she cannot twist: indifference. You are not cruel. You are the mirror that does not distort. You are the shadow she cannot seduce. You are the void that reminds her she is finite. While she offers warmth, you offer winter, and winter lasts longer. Because she does not love the man who pleases her. She loves the man who remains unbent. Stay still long enough, and she will kneel. Stay silent long enough, and she will confess. Stay gone long enough, and she will remember you in every man who leaves her. If this echo has already touched something buried in you, let it breathe, like the video. Leave your scar in the comments. Subscribe and remain unmoved. She wants a mirror, but not one that flatters. She wants to see herself in your eyes, but only if those eyes remain still, unfazed, unshaken. You feel her warmth draw close like fire cupping your skin, and instinct tells you to reach, to respond, to soften. But something colder inside you warns the moment you reflect her. She vanishes. The moment you show her her own beauty, she becomes disgusted. She doesn't want approval, she wants opposition. She wants the mirror that does not smile back. You remember the first one, the way she looked at you like a prayer wrapped in skin. You smiled, and that was the beginning of the end. It collapsed so quietly. The more you adored, the more she pulled away. The more you reassured, the more her interest withered. Her eyes turned elsewhere, always to the one who looked through her, not at her. You thought it was your kindness she wanted. It wasn't. It was your distance. Every time you bend, she breaks. You give her everything, and she calls you weak. You protect her, and she finds you dull. You pour love into her hands, and she lets it slip, saying it was never enough. You mistake this for cruelty. It's not. It's instinct. What repels her isn't your lack of affection, it's your eagerness to give it. She tests you not because she's cruel, but because she needs to believe you are real. And only resistance feels real. You thought a man should be soft to be loved, but the softness she wants is hers. Yours must remain stone. A man who yields is not a man to her. He becomes another extension of her will, and no woman desires what she can fully control. You give her comfort, and she yawns. You give her fear, and she dreams of you. There's a moment you've lived 1,000 times. She approaches, her voice low, her eyes heavy with longing. You meet her halfway, confess something real. You finally show the depth, the ache, the tenderness, the wish to hold her endlessly. And she stiffens. The magic dies. She says she's tired, says she needs space, says she's confused. But you know what it is. You gave her what she thought she wanted, and she hated it. She doesn't want your heart. She wants to chase what doesn't give it. You must become the mirror that never reflects, the one that lets her see herself but never fully. You are not cruel. You are exact. If she gives herself to you, and you open too soon, you confirm what she fears, that you were already conquered, that you were never strong enough to resist her. And now, she must find another. The greatest moment of intimacy is not when you hold her, it's when you don't. When you withhold, when you pause, when you offer silence in place of approval. She will mistake it for rejection at first. She'll rage against your stillness. But somewhere deeper, an old memory will return, the one buried in her bloodline, the one that tells her only the unmoved man is real, and realness, to her, is desire. You've seen her try to provoke you, the sudden cruelty, the cold jokes, the push and pull. You thought she was unstable, but this is her seeking gravity. She tests you to see if you bend. She presses to feel your edge. And when you respond with pleading or passion, she knows she is stronger. She wanted to be claimed. You asked to be chosen. And now she must look elsewhere for the man who does not need her. To love her, you must risk losing her. You must let her walk. You must let her misunderstand you. You must let her call you distant, arrogant, indifferent, because she will. But behind her words is the deeper question, will you move now? And when you don't, when you remain still while storms break, in her something ancient returns to her spine, a strange reverence, a softness not of pity, but of hunger. She doesn't remember this consciously. It's older than her mother, older than the words she uses to describe what she wants, but you've seen it. The way her voice shifts when you're silent, the way her touch changes when you've gone cold, the way her pride collapses when she senses you are not waiting. You thought she wanted romance, she wanted resistance, she wanted the shadow that didn't move when she cried, the hand that didn't reach first, the voice that didn't need to explain. Every time you withheld your need, she remembered hers. Every time you refused to chase, she started running back. You are the mirror that never fogs, the face she sees when she is most ashamed, the edge that cuts her illusion of control. You are not trying to be cruel, only precise, because every time you reflect her beauty, she forgets your worth. But every time you deny her worship, she offers it. You fear she will leave, but that fear itself makes you move, and every movement makes her vanish further. She does not leave because you are cold. She leaves because you are afraid to be. The man she dreams of does not explain his silence. He lives in it. There's a throne in her heart. It is never empty, only waiting. And the one who ascends it is the man who sits without asking. She watches, she tests, she distracts. But all her chaos points to one question. Will you hold your shape? The moment you become soft for her, she feels powerful and immediately bored. The moment you resist her, she feels powerless and hopelessly drawn. She calls the first kindness. She calls the second cruelty. But you know neither are true. The truth is that only the man who refuses to reflect becomes the one she cannot forget. You are not meant to mirror. You are meant to absorb without reply, to see her rage and blink once, to feel her warmth and not lean, to hear her sob and not comfort, not out of coldness, but out of knowledge. The moment you reflect back her desire is the moment you dissolve, but the man who remains whole in her storm, that is the man she binds herself to. So don't smile, don't nod, don't answer too quickly, don't soften to soothe. She is not a girl lost in need. She is a woman searching for an edge that doesn't yield. Be that edge. And when the others fade, the ones who gave her what she wanted, she will remember you. Not for what you gave, but for what you never gave back. She wraps herself in silk and perfume, but her fire is not in her touch, it is in her resistance. She is heat born from friction, from absence, from the ache of something just out of reach. She speaks of wanting tenderness, but what consumes her is tension. She longs for flame, but only if it does not warm. The truth she cannot name, she does not burn for kindness. She burns for the one who stays cold in her heat. You see her walk into the room, laughter dripping from her lips like honey laced with thorns. She gathers orbit, draws the gaze of men who mistake her radiance for invitation. They step close, they smile, they praise, they offer warmth like it is currency, and she receives it all politely, distantly, almost bored. But you are ice in the corner. You are the one who does not melt, does not follow, does not react, and so you become the shape in her blood. Not because you are cruel, not because you are arrogant, but because your stillness reveals the hunger she hides. In your refusal to be touched by her fire, she sees the proof of something ancient, that true power is not in flame, but in the one who endures it. Her beauty has broken men, but it does not bend you, and so she begins to burn in earnest. You think you must return her warmth to be worthy, but she remembers none of the men who did. Their heat faded, their love grew tepid, their praise predictable. They became soft cloth she wrapped herself in and then discarded. But you remained. You did not warm her. You remained sharp, unshaped, unsoftened, and because of this, you entered her marrow. There is something in her that aches to be refused, not because she is weak, but because she is fire, and fire without resistance is just light. But give it something cold, and it becomes a blaze. When you refuse her seduction, when you meet her desire with silence, her heat becomes unbearable, and unbearable heat becomes obsession. She dreams of you without speaking your name. She touches other men while imagining your disinterest. She smiles while remembering how you didn't smile back. You did not yield, and so she cannot forget. The others praised her dress, you didn't even look. The others reached out, you kept your hands in your pockets. The others asked to know her, you never once tried. And that silence carved a scar across her wanting. You are not trying to win her. That is why you have already won. You are not drawn by her beauty, and this makes you beautiful to her. You are not enchanted by her chaos, and this makes you the one thing in her world that feels solid. She cannot explain you, and so she circles you like a flame, unsure if it is destroying or worshipping what it touches. She whispers to herself that you must be cold inside, and she's right, but not the way she thinks. You are cold like the mountain immovable, full of silence. You are cold like the deep sea swallowing, without need for light. You are cold like stone carved into throne, built to be bowed to, not embraced. And she is knelt before lesser things, but something in her knows this is different. She tests you, always, not because she doubts you, but because she wants to believe. She will try warmth, she will try distance, she will cry in your silence and laugh in your seriousness. She will threaten to leave, and you must not melt, not because you wish to play games, but because she does not want the game to end. Her fire must not be consumed, it must be mirrored in something that does not flinch. Her soul is not soothed by comfort, it is awakened by contrast. She tells her friends you're distant, that you're cruel, that you confuse her, but at night, when they leave, she opens her phone and checks for your name, not because you said something sweet, but because you said nothing, and that nothing became a storm in her chest. You do not melt for her, and now she must find out why. She believes she is in control, but you know she is circling. You've seen the spiral before, the slow descent from pride to yearning. She wanted to dominate, but she found a man who cannot be moved, and now the game is reversed. She who once held power in her beauty now aches to be seen by eyes that do not flicker. There is a death she craves, not of the body, but of the ego. A moment where her power does not work, a man she cannot break, a space where her voice does not echo, and you offer her that death wordlessly. You stand like a cathedral with locked doors, and she has never wanted to pray so much. Others say love is about connection, but this is not connection. This is combustion, and combustion only happens when opposites meet, when her fire meets your frost. And somewhere in that violence, she feels alive, not happy, not safe, but real, and realness, to her, is worth everything. You do not owe her comfort, you owe her truth. And the truth is this: she does not want the man who pleases, she wants the one who resists, who endures her flame without falling into it, who lets her rage seduce, collapse, and never once adjusts his shape. She may leave, and if she does, let her. If you follow, she will run faster, but if you remain, if you hold your cold as sacred, she will return, not with smiles, but with silence. And in that silence, you will see it her surrender, not of will, but of illusion. She has burned through many, but she cannot burn through you. You are the firebreak, the edge where her heat stops and her soul begins. And she knows it. She will not say it, but in the way she watches you walk, in the way she pauses before replying, in the way her laughter dies when you look away, it is there, the shape you left in her, the frozen outline, because warmth can be forgotten, but cold leaves form. There is a throne in every woman's chest, but it is not empty. It is guarded by illusions, by pride, by the ghosts of men who begged to sit upon it. You do not ascend by persuasion. You do not win it through gifts, promises, or emotion. You ascend when you stop reaching, when you stop needing, when you stop loving her in the way she expects to be loved. Not because you lack a heart, but because you no longer offer it like a stray dog, bleeding and eager to sit upon that throne. You must place your own heart on the pyre and walk away from its warmth. You must become sovereign, indifferent. She does not dream of the man who chased her. She remembers him only as noise. His affection was loud, predictable, flooding her world until she suffocated in his wanting. But the man who withheld the one who stood, unmoving, while she unfolded herself in madness, he became myth. Not because he played games, but because he refused to. Indifference is not apathy, it is discipline. It is the sacred refusal to dance on command. It is not hatred, it is the absence of hunger. You do not control her by speaking first, replying fast, or giving in when she cries. You control her by doing nothing at all. You let her collapse, rage, accuse, and you do not move, because the one who moves first always loses the throne. She has called you a narcissist, an avoidant, emotionally unavailable. But those are the names given to men who do not kneel, who do not melt, who do not trade their silence for her storm. It is not cruelty, it is clarity. You do not owe her an explanation. Her soul already knows, in your stillness. She remembers something ancient the king does not plead. The king waits, and the woman who cannot wait is not queen. She leaves, she returns, she tests, she teases. All of it is ritual. She is not confused, she is watching to see if the throne remains empty while she dances in front of it. Watching to see if you break and rise from your seat to pursue her. The moment you do, she wins. Not because she wanted to, but because she no longer believes in your power. There is a moment inevitable when she cries, not from sadness, but from surrender. The tears don't ask for comfort. They ask for permission to stop fighting. You will feel it, the shift. She no longer speaks to control, but to confess. Her hands no longer gesture, they tremble. Her eyes stop demanding and begin dissolving. This is not the time to hold her. This is the time to watch, to witness the collapse of the illusion. She has spent her life believing she must rule men through softness, sex, threat, withdrawal. But you offered no reaction, and so she doubted herself. And when a woman doubts her power over you, she does not hate you. She kneels, not in submission, but in awe. Because control was never taken from her, it was returned to her. returned by your refusal to be moved. You were not cruel, you were constant, and in that constancy, you created a world where she could finally fall. You feel nothing, she will ask. You don't care, she will whisper. But what she means is, how can I need you when you don't need me? And that is the throne the moment she realizes you are complete with or without her. You loved her, you still might, but you no longer bend under that love. It is no longer currency, no longer performance. You do not weaponize it. You do not offer it as bait. You simply carry it like a crown worn, not offered. She tries to provoke you not to punish, but to prove. If you react, she wins. If you stay still, she breaks. Not in pain, in reverence, because the unmoved man becomes the center of her gravity, and gravity is not chased, it is obeyed. You say nothing, and yet her thoughts scream your name. You touch no part of her, and yet her body aches where your hands never were. You remain distant, and yet she dreams you in closer detail than the men she's kissed. This is not magic. This is silence at scale. You are the throne, the fixed point, the unchanging law, and every game she plays collapses against your immobility. You do not punish, you do not correct, you simply wait, until her breath slows, her eyes soften, and her pride bows. Others melt at her lips. You remain iron. Others explain themselves. You vanish into silence. Others fear losing her. You trust the loss. And that is why she stays, but not all at once. The surrender happens slowly, a delay in her response, a softness in her voice, a hand that lingers too long on your sleeve. She will never admit it, but her body already has. The throne requires sacrifice. You must bleed without showing it. You must want without needing. You must feel without expressing. And most of all, you must love her while letting her go over and over until she finally stops leaving. And when she does not say, "I love you." She says nothing, but she does not flinch when you do. She no longer tests. She no longer waits for reaction. She begins to breathe at your rhythm, not out of obedience, but alignment. The throne is not a game of dominance. It is the end of the game, the place where all her masks fall because yours never did. The place where she sheds the child who needed to be chosen because now she has chosen. Not you, but the silence inside you, the one she could never master. You will want to soften here, to thank her, to explain your restraint. Don't. Let the silence hold. Let it echo. She must learn you not through language, but through presence. You sat still. You watched the storm. You let the fire pass. And now she is rain, falling in your hands, too tired to run. And you do not smile. You sit, unmoved. She stands at the edge of your silence, barefoot, trembling. The gold rings she once wore now fallen in the dust. Her perfume fades into something older, not scent, but memory. She does not ask where you went. You never moved. The wind circles her dress, but you do not lift your gaze. She wipes her own tears with hands once used to pull men closer. Behind her shadows of those who gave her everything. Around you nothing but still air and the quiet architecture of your refusal. She could scream, she could kneel, she could laugh, weep, vanish, and none of it would change the throne you built from absence. The birds don't sing, the air doesn't shift, only her breath slower now, as if she is becoming part of your stillness. And you remain the silence she can't outlive. You remain the one who never came closer and never had to.